I think these ones will be too big for Auntie Sue, Joseph.
I like them. They feel all bouncy. Are these meant to be bouncy? They are really comfy. I might have to get tall Tim to get me a pair.
Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay. And I'm trying out some new microphones, and I've also borrowed a child today. So you might remember Joseph from a couple of years ago did a review of the Pegasus 38. I've just got him some Pegasus 40, and I've got my Pegasus 40, and these are exactly the same shoe. Yours are a UK
6.5.
6.5, and mine are UK 13. So basically I'm double the size, sort of. So we're going to go for a little run. And we've got some prime drink.
Some prime. Uncle Tim's just going to try it out today.
So this is the most expensive drink I've ever seen. They're about £7 in one shop. So
yeah.
After buying a pair of shoes and all these £7 drinks, they'll have to go on with a run and see if we can get a few YouTube videos out of this one. So we'll do a little run and then we'll come back and talk about the shoes afterwards. Okay, so ready? Watches at the ready? You're going to need to press the right button, yeah. So yep. I've only got one watch today because Joseph has borrowed my other one.
Yeah.
Right, ready?
Yep.
Let's go. Okay. I haven't run for about a week now, so it feels a bit hard work. When did you last run, Joseph?
Probably about a couple of weeks ago, maybe.
Oh, really? We're going to do our 2-mile loop around the village. All right, so we're back from our 2-mile run. How did you find that, Joseph?
Very good. Yeah, it was quite nice.
So these are the Pegasus 40. They're exactly the same shoe. This is the UK 6.5. This is not the kids one. This is the full adults version, and mine is the UK 13. Now it's interesting that actually the weights of them aren't quite as different as I thought. They feel really light, but this is actually about 265 grams, and mine about 370. So it's not quite as much of a difference as I thought. How did you kind of feel those on foot?
They were a lot comfier than the average shoe. They were a lot comfier than my old ones, as they were a bit small. But they're very comfy. I just love Pegasus. They're very nice.
So those of you who don't know, I've actually reviewed the Pegasus 40 already, but there's an airbag underneath the midfoot here and one at the back as well. Did you feel that when you were running?
Yeah, a little, I think so.
I just felt squidgy sort of feeling.
Yeah, you can sort of like, if you squidge it, sort of squidgy there. But yeah, it felt comfier than a normal shoe would, so.
Yeah. So you've also been wearing these like during the day because Joseph's down, he's doing an acting course in Kingston. So I think it's quite interesting that when I review shoes, a lot of people might ask how they like for wearing every day. I think a Pegasus is quite a good shoe to wear all the time because it's quite comfortable, isn't it?
My old ones I used to wear every day, about 6 days a week. So that was they got used every day for about 2 years. So. And they're just comfy shoes in general.
Do you like the colour of this one? There's a bit of touch of pink matching my top. So,
I quite like the colour. It's quite nice compared to the last one. The last one had a green, and it's quite different and quite nice.
My ones came in the release colour version, and the outside of these is quite like a boring black, which I suppose is quite good if you're going like on trails and stuff. But
I quite like the blue and pink. It quite matches quite well.
And you can see it gets quite dirty already, but. Yeah. I mean, the outsoles obviously are exactly the same. It looks like my one looks absolutely huge, doesn't it? I mean, I've worn these now about 130 miles, and I think people all say that the Pegasus is quite a boring shoe, but I think that's kind of like what it's meant to be. I mean, I thought about it the other day. It's Nike's like 4th most expensive daily trainer. So people say, oh, the Pegasus is crap, but I mean, already you've got 3 shoes from Nike, the Vomero, the Infinity, and the Invincible, which are all more expensive and more sort of premium. So I think this is a shoe that is sort of sitting in that middle range, and when you're comparing it, you need to make sure you're comparing it with something else.
I've not tried the others, but so far this is probably one of the comfiest shoes I've put on my feet. And you know, I know people probably prefer the Supreme ones, but these are just comfy.
I think there's an element of like snobbery with shoes when you've tried a lot, because when you've tried all sorts of more expensive ones, when you go back to one that's not so expensive, you say it's not so good. So I think it's a bit of a it's interesting sometimes when someone comes from the shoe that's basically worn out to like a brand new Pegasus, and how sort of excited they feel to wear it, because it does feel like amazingly cushioned compared to like a normal trainer. So I think we have to remember that when you're thinking about shoes, and not everybody will like obviously want to review 20-30 shoes like one a day. I mean, most people just wear one shoe and get on with it. So.
But I've got the Air Force Ones, and these are probably more comfortable than the Air Force Ones.
Well, the Air Force Ones are more
trainery, but yeah.
Yeah, more like a lifestyle shoe, aren't they?
But yeah.
Better, looks better with jeans, perhaps. But I mean, these I think they would look a lot better than these. I got these as a bit of a joke when I was delivering Sue's leaflets to the Liberal Democrats, because obviously they got like the orange and yellow colourways and also like a bit of green on that one. But that's a much more sort of. It's got a bit of pink in it, but it's got a much more subtle sort of colour to it, hasn't it?
It's quite a nice pink as well. It works as well.
Yeah.
That's the good thing, because I'm not sure whether I prefer it to the green ones. Probably. I quite like the bluey, and also all the laces, they're blue and black and everything, and with the pink it works quite nicely.
I've actually had to cut my laces off, although my foot's a bit swollen at the moment, so I found it a little difficult to get them in. How did you find the tongues? It's what you would call a gusseted tongue. It's kind of attached.
Yeah, it was a bit different, but it's not bad. I quite liked it. I mean, I didn't really notice anything wrong with it, so I guess that's a good sign, as it just felt quite nice, really.
I think another thing of interest is that Joseph 2 years ago was a 5.5, and he still wears those 5.5s. But when I put him into a 6.5, I was thinking that in 2 years' time he must have grown. And when I tested his toes, they're right up against the top. So I think you need to remember that if you haven't had shoes for a while, that running shoes should always have a bit more room. And although you're wearing them in the day, I think if you're wearing them in the day, your foot's going to swell up a lot. And then we went for a run when we came back from the acting. So it's another thing to bear in mind. I'm not just buying him a pair of shoes because like he's a 13-year-old and he'll grow into them. But there is an element of making sure you've got enough room in a shoe as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're comfy, which is, probably the main thing for shoes is having it be comfy, and it's probably about, I don't know, a lot more comfort than, looks. But they look good and they're comfy, so they're probably they're a good shoe.
The only downside is that the kids' sizes stop at 6, so these ones are like double the price of the kids' ones. So
don't understand why.
Well, I think it's because you don't have to pay tax and stuff and VAT and all sorts of stuff. So they make kids' shoes deliberately less. I always thought if you were a really small person, then you'd be able to get away with the kids' shoes forever. But I can't even wear women's shoes. Obviously not much demand for a women's shoe in a 13. We were trying to get Auntie Sue a pair. It has to be Auntie Sue because I'm Uncle Tim. But she tried on these ones. We will have a little bit of I've thrown a bit of footage of that. But they were a bit wide for her, weren't they? So,
yeah. Or a bit thin, weren't they?
They were a bit long, but they're also a bit narrow for her. So I think we might need to get her a wide version.
But yeah, she liked the red ones. Yeah.
Yeah, she wanted to get the Nike by You version. More expensive, typically. Anyway, any final closing thoughts?
No, other than get the Pegasus 40s because they're good.
Okay, then. So I hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe on that, and see you on the next one. Then, bye.
Bye.
All right, good. So how's the drink?
Good. Yeah.
You can't get that in Wiltshire, then.
Not really, no.
No, special drink that.
Yeah, and London's only.
We're doing okay, 1.25 in 13 minutes. Josie's been doing a practice for a play all week in Kingston, and it's on tomorrow. The show is Midsummer Night's Dream, Shakespeare, but like a modern version of it. What parts are you playing?
Snug and Moth.
Snug and Moth. So Joseph stopped his. This is a Garmin Forerunner 265, and he's done 23 minutes 14 seconds, 2 miles 09. And I think I saw his heart rate a minute ago was 197. I don't think I've ever had my heart rate as high as 197. Average heart rate of 173. So you can certainly see that Joseph was working hard on this one. You broke your ankle, didn't you, a few years ago? Was it your ankle?
Well, I've broken both my ankles since.
Both of them, not at the same time.
Not the same time. Just one year and then other the next. So.
Was that playing football?
No, that was playing rugby, one of them.
Oh, right. Oh, I don't like rugby. It was too dangerous. I don't think I was built for rugby, was I? A bit taller than thin. I can't believe how high you got your heart rate. Even a few stops. Wow. Huh.
Mm.
It goes to show, does it, that sort of formula of 220 minus age for your maximum heart rate, it might not suit everybody, but it does actually tie in. Because you're 13, aren't you? 13, yeah. And we saw 205 max heart rate. Obviously, it probably wasn't completely flat out, but 220 minus 13 would be 200 and 207, isn't it? So yeah, so if you got to 205, it's kind of in the ballpark.
Yeah, so not bad.
Right,
Yeah.
let's go in and have a drink.